All right.
All right. Hey, y'all. Welcome to our nutrition talk today. All of y'all know me. My name is Coach Liz, and I have Dr. Jasmine with me, who has joined our nutrition team. So now it's me, Dr. Jasmine, and Gabby. And we are here to talk about stress and habit change and why it might feel really tough to make changes when we're feeling overwhelmed or stressed. So first I want to start out by talking about our holistic approach to health. So here at Whole Strength CrossFit and Nutrition, if you haven't noticed, we are very holistic minded. In our nutrition coaching program, we don't just talk about nutrition, okay? So I have this wheel here, if y'all can y'all see that behind me? So we don't just talk about nutrition, but we also talk about stress, sleep, lifestyle, movement, and our support system, right? So we have to look at the whole picture because one affects the other. So today we're going to talk about this pillar, stress and stress management, and really the objectives we're going to be talking about, really understand what stress is and how stress affects us. We're going to be understanding why it's hard to make changes, like I said earlier, why it's hard to make changes when we're in stressful seasons, right? It's not impossible. We just have to have some tools in our back pocket in order to make those changes. And then we're going to learn what those tools are, learn some tools to manage. We've got some really great questions that we have for you guys to follow along with on during our talk. So we'll go over how we're going to do this today is we'll go over a few things, some education, and then we'll prompt you towards your workbook. And if you've been to our nutrition talks before, I really like it to be interactive. Like, we don't want to just sit up here and talk to you guys. I want to hear from y'all. People learn from other people. And I feel like it's really great to hear others because I think I can all say that we all go through stressful situations and we're under stress, whatever that looks like. It may be different, but it's just really good to come together and not feel alone in any of this, okay? So we're going to talk about stress first. Like, what is stress? Stress is like our body's internal alarm system. It's not just a feeling, but it's a physiological response, okay? So there's two types of stress. There's what we call acute stress and chronic stress. I'm going to stop there, and I forgot to mention that on the back of your handbook, like second page, there's a notes section. You can take notes there or take notes wherever on your handbook. Cool? So two types of stress. I like to write on the board, so I'm going to write these. Acute. I think I spelled that right. And chronic. So acute is, what do you think that means based on the word? Yeah. So this type of stress can actually be helpful. Stress is good. That we need some types of stress in our life in order to propel us forward. Okay, so acute stress is that short stress. It can actually be really helpful like times of danger, right? It helps us get out of a dangerous situation. It's that body's alarm system that like, oh, this is dangerous. I need to get out of this. It is things like a deadline, like a project deadline. Feeling that stress, okay, I've got a deadline, I've got to get this done, let me finish this. I remember in grad school, for me, my whole grad school was writing papers. And that was really stressful, but that feeling, it's like, okay, I'm either not gonna like pass my master's or I'm gonna actually like lean into this stress. I've got to get these things done and finish these papers. Example this week, I was under a little bit of stress getting ready for this talk. There's a deadline. I have to have all this information to Dr. Jazz, and we have to communicate, right? So it's not bad. It's just that feeling of, okay, I've got to like get this rolling and get this done. Acute stress can also boost our cognitive abilities. It can boost our performance. So that's some good stress. Where it gets not so good is when we're under more chronic stress. So chronic stress is more prolonged. So it's a longer period of time being under stress. This can come from a number of different things. This could come from work, demanding job. It could come from financial situation, relationship situations. I mean, a host of things. Chronic stress can, if we're dealing with a chronic disease, right, that is chronic stress in our body as well. Chronic stress can also be caused by poor sleep, for not getting enough sleep for a long period of time. It can also be caused by overtraining. If we're working our body too much, overtraining for undereating for a long period of time, that could cause chronic stress in our body as well. So you can already see how this is, we have to look at the whole picture, right? Because, hey, did anybody know for undereating, that could cause stress in our body? Mm-hmm. Did anybody know for overtraining, that could cause stress in our body? That's why it's important to have recovery days throughout the week so that we can recover and not keep that stress high in our body and come back feeling good the next day. So with that being said, when stress builds without us putting in any sort of recovery techniques, then our body remains in sort of a fight or flight mode. So that means we're in a state of survival. Mm-hmm. Who has ever felt in a state of survival for a while? I know I have. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm just reacting to things. I'm waking up, I'm going, I'm reacting. I don't know what I'm doing. I feel terrible. And all of a sudden you burn out. Mm-hmm. Has that ever happened? Because it's happened to me before. Yeah. So if we stay under this sort of, if we stay under this for a long, long time, it makes change hard. We're just like, hey, I just need to do the easiest thing possible, right? It makes change hard, and it also can lead to a host of health complications if we're not paying attention. Okay, people wake up years down the road and they're like, I feel sick, I feel terrible, I'm on all these medications, and they reflect back and they're like, I haven't taken care of myself at all because I've just been go, like I haven't paid attention, right? So really what we're here to do and what Whole Strength is here to do is we're in the preventative state. We're here to help you guys improve your health, prevent chronic disease so that you can learn how to build healthy habits along the way to live the healthy lifestyle that you want to live, right? Nobody wants to stay under chronic stress. It's not fun, right? So I'm going to go to Dr. Jasmine, and she's going to talk about how stress can really affect our progress, talk about cortisol, some good things.
Yes. So physiologically, what happens in our bodies as we get stressed, there's a lot of hormones and things that are happening, but one of the main hormones that gets secreted in the body is cortisol when we're under a lot of stress. And so I'll write this on the board.
Oh yeah. There you go.
In case anybody doesn't know how to spell cortisol. For your notes, of course, for your notes. So yeah, cortisol, this is going to be the main stress hormone that gets secreted in our bodies when we're under stress. And this is under acute stress or chronic stress. And so cortisol is going to be, it comes from the gland, the adrenal gland. So you guys have heard like my adrenals are pumping or, all of that kind of stuff. So it's truthfully when we are under stress, that hormone is secreting through the body. And so cortisol plays a vital role with stress, and so it's necessary. Cortisol helps to do a ton of things throughout the body. So we're just gonna go through and list some stuff here. So number one, cortisol is gonna help to regulate our metabolism. And so when we are in a state of stress, it'll help to break down fats, proteins, carbohydrates, things like that in the body, which is a good thing. So how we're talking about being under acute stress, working out, things like that. We want that cortisol to be pumped a little bit so that it can actually help to do the things that we want exercise to do for acute stress in the body, right? And so continuing on, Cortisol is also going to help to put out or like manage blood sugar levels in our body. And so as we're under stress, like that's going to help to put out more glucose into our bloodstream so that we can handle the stress that we're under. So for instance, if we are under, and I'm going to continue to talk about like acute stress in this as I'm going through these examples to, just really talk about how helpful cortisol can be. So let's just say we're walking down the street and you are gravely afraid of dogs and a dog jumps out, and it's like chasing you. So that's going to be an example of like an acute state of stress. You're going to run, you're going to try to get rid of, get away from the dog. Within that, you're going to need some glucose to be pumping through your blood so the muscles can get what they need to like help you run. So all of these things are going to be useful by way of cortisol being pumped into your blood, right? And so the other thing is cortisol is going to be helpful for the nervous system. And so it's going to help to keep us alert and responsive while we're under these stressful situations, because I'm telling you, it's going to be, can you imagine not being like responsive to a stressful situation? Like if you're driving in your car, we all know Nashville traffic. Can you imagine like if somebody jumps in front of you, you know what I mean, in your car,
you're just like,
and you're just like, woo, like, and you're not alert. Like we need that cortisol to help us like stay sharp, right? That would be crazy. Although I'm convinced some people, anyways, let's move on. So I'm convinced. Anyways.
Another talk for another
day. Right,
day.
that's another talk. Cortisol is also going to be helpful for reducing inflammation short term. So it will have an anti-inflammatory response in the short term, so under acute stages of stress in our body.
But when you say that again, so like cortisol helps with inflammation?
Short term. Okay, when it's secreted in the short term, like for an acute situation, it can help to reduce inflammation. We're going to talk on the opposite end of that. Chronic, it can actually increase inflammation if we're chronically under stress and there's no regulation to the cortisol level, then that can actually be bad. Mm-hmm. So it can turn. So that's a thing there. And then lastly here, cortisol is also going to help to control our sleep-wake cycles. So first thing in the morning when we wake up, we get a pump of cortisol into the bloodstream to keep us to get us going, get the day going. But as the day continues, what should happen is cortisol levels should kind of gradually taper off so that by the time we're ready to go to bed at night, we're not like adrenaline pumping, but we're actually able to rest at the end of the day. Okay. So far, all good things, right? Cortisol is actually very useful, even though it gets a really bad rep, right? So let's talk on the other end of cortisol, what can happen if it's secreted in a chronic state. So chronically elevated, it can lead to a ton of things that are unfavorable for us. So one of the things being fatigue. So we know, and Liz also talked about how like if we're chronically, if we're dealing with something, whether it's family stress or work stress, school stress, overtraining in the gym, we can start to feel just like worn out, right? And it's because that hormone has been secreted and it's like actually not helpful as it should be, and it's not being utilized in the right way. So we all have heard the term or heard the saying, too much of anything is bad for you, right? Well, it's the same thing with cortisol, right? So with this, some other things that can happen, muscle breakdown can start to happen again if we're not able to like replenish the body and regulate things like we're supposed to, things can start to break down. Another thing that is highly unfavorable with chronically elevated cortisol levels is it can increase belly fat. Don't nobody want that, right? Nobody wants that. So it's doing the opposite of what we want in the body. So increased belly fat, it can create poor digestion. So think about like if you are chronically stressed or going through a situation, some people may exhibit like they're not able to, they may have like indigestion or, just like GI issues, they may start to happen. It's because like we're not actually regulated, the metabolism isn't doing what it's supposed to do. So it's just kind of like slowing everything down, okay? Trouble sleeping, we talked about this, and then also it can like weaken your immune system. So if we are chronically stressed, and we know this, so like I can think of an example when I was in school, in chiropractic school, and it's just extremely stressful, just test all the time. And so typically what will happen is if we're like studying and, you know, doing the things, going up to final exams, right after the final exam, like, you know, you've stressed yourself out the whole time, and then right after the final exam you take it and then you get sick. And it's because you've been stressed out for so long, your immune system has been like weakened over time, and like now you're susceptible to all kinds of things. But yeah, the other thing, which is a huge thing here, is if we're chronically stressed, this can start to mess with like our cravings. And so under chronic levels of stress, you can start to crave like sugar or ultra processed foods. So, you know, your hot Cheetos or whatever, you know, whatever it is your go-to. That just,
It's just like a coping, like a dopamine rush thing, or what?
yeah. So, I mean, like with sugar cravings, like it can absolutely be one of those things. Like sugar makes us feel good. Like it is a neurological response in our brain. And so if we're chronically like stressed, going down, like you're going to your body is craving something to like boost you up.
Yeah.
It's craving something like that.
And also, if I can
Yeah,
add to
go
that,
ahead.
also it's all encompassing. So, right, like just because your cortisol is high doesn't mean that's going to increase your belly fat. Like it could mean that you're chronically stressed, therefore you're undersleeping, therefore our hunger cues are off.
Yeah.
And so when we're when we're not sleeping enough, have y'all ever craved more like sugary or carb things, right? Our hunger hormones are way off. Therefore, we have those increased cravings.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it's very, very integrated.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not like one thing leads to the other. It's more or less like looking at all of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with that, because like when we talk about hormones, like cortisol is just one of the many things that get affected in this whole process. So we're real surface right now. I'm trying not to go too deep, but like Liz said, there are tons of things that are happening, and you know, like domino effect kind of thing.
Yeah.
So okay, so let's go to our handouts and let's go to our questions, and we're going to talk a little bit about like what stress feels like in your body. So I think there's a question on there that asks, what does stress feel like in your body? And you can write it down in the moment. If you feel comfortable about saying it, you can say it out loud too.
Wants to say out loud, like,
what does it feel like?
what do you feel like when you're stressed? Like, have you ever stopped to think, what does my body feel like? What does it feel like in my body? Shoulder tension. Okay. Yeah. Anybody else?
For me, it's a little bit strange. My throat like kind of constricts, and it's kind of like not listening to my inner voice, like ignoring things. Like if I'm like really tired, that will happen, or if I'm hungry, that'll happen. It's very strange, but it's like just a weird somatic thing.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
If it's extreme enough, my whole body will feel numb.
What did you say?
If the stress is extreme enough, my whole body will just feel numb.
Like a freeze state.
Kind of like my body feels heavy. It's hard to move. Like it just feels numb all over.
Yeah. I clench my teeth a lot when I'm stressed, and I don't always realize it.
Yeah.
But it results in like a lot of like facial tension.
Yeah. For sure. Anybody else? I've heard all of those from clients or friends or, yeah.
Yep. Well, I think it's a good thing to just be aware of what that feels like in your body, so that you can just be conscious about, okay, I'm really feeling like this tension in my shoulder or whatever. So you can know, okay, I'm stressed out right now.
Yeah.
And now we can respond appropriately to it.
It's your body's way of talking to you.
It is. Listen to it. And then the next question here is, what are 3 common stressors in your current life? I know it might be hard to narrow it down, but the top 3.
A 2-year-old.
You
A
look,
2-year-old.
I'm not judging you if you write your child's name down. I'm not judging.
I was just about to write them.
Be real.
Nice, but 2-year-old.
Be real.
Yeah. So and we'll talk about this later too, but what we're doing is we're helping you guys build awareness.
Yes.
That's the first step, is How does this feel like in my body? And what is stressful in my life? We all have stressors, and identifying those, the big three, will be helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There you go.
And just like self-judgments,
Mm.
comparisons.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
More of a mental health thing.
Yeah.
No?
I found my computer, like multiple ways, working on it, but like the light off.
Okay. Just throw it out.
It's not working well for you. Yeah.
I mean, like if I spend too much time on it,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
go like hard for like 8 hours on that light. It's really fatiguing.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
sure.
I think not going to sleep at a decent time for me.
Yeah, we'll talk
Yes.
about that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. For sure.
Smartphones.
I know. Why do we have them?
Right.
Why do we have smartphones? Can we go back to the flip phone?
Man.
The BlackBerry. I love my BlackBerry. All right, so y'all can go back to that if you haven't identified three, but yeah, I'm sure we all can name 3 things that are big stressors in our life. I know I can. All right, so even if we know what to do, like I hear this all the time in the office, talking to nutrition clients or even just members in the gym. It's like, hey, Liz, I know what to do, I'm just not doing it. Even if we know what to do, when we're under stress, it can feel really impossible to do the thing. Okay? And you know, we have all experienced that. And so when we talk to nutrition clients, it's no judgment at all, but it's just a fact to say it just makes things harder. How many of y'all have ever dealt with decision fatigue? Decision fatigue. I deal with decision fatigue all the time. You can ask Case. I'm just like, just tell me what to do, or just make the choice. Let's just do it. Sometimes I'm really good, but when I'm under like just overwhelmed, I know myself, and I'm like, I can't make this decision right now. Like, I would like you to help me here. So when that decision fatigue sets in, our brains go to what's easiest and what's convenient, or to what systems we currently have in place. Okay? So when we're stressed, our brains go to what's easiest or convenient, or to what systems we have in place. So I hear a lot of times, like, Coach Liz, I just need to be more disciplined next week. Or I just need to have more willpower. Or I just need to try harder. The answer really is no. You just need better systems in place. Okay? Because when our systems are broken down, that's when consistency breaks down, and that's when you feel like you're not being able to be disciplined, is because you don't have the systems in place that you need. Does that make sense?
Kind of like structure.
Yeah, the structure, the systems, right? Like, for Ryan to run this gym effectively, we have to have really good systems in place, right? It's the same thing. For us to run optimally, we need to have good systems in place that support us to run and function optimally.
So like multiple different ones. So like one if you're under a lot of stress, and then one that's like optimal if you're not. Or like
I mean, could be. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, we talk a lot about like plan A. Okay, well, plan A falls out the window. What's plan B? What's plan C? What's plan D? Like having options.
So like worst case, best case.
Yeah. So like, for example, I'll give you a good example. I hear a lot of times, you know, people will get home late, whether it's kids' activities or work is late, and it's like 8 p.m. and they don't have anything for dinner, so they'll stop. And like, hey, like eating out, it's fine, like no judgment, right? But if that's a prolonged period of time and you're doing that every single night, then it's not conducive if you have a goal of fat loss or muscle gain, right? So a system to have in place for that would be, number one, having your fridge stocked with easy, convenient things to throw together when you get home. It'd be the same thing as stopping somewhere, take the same amount of time. You can just go home and throw together, have a rotisserie chicken, have some frozen veg, have some microwave rice, boom, 5 minutes. So a system to have in place would be, hey, let's make sure on Sunday I'm fully stocked with some convenient things because I know that I'm going to have some late nights this week. Does that make sense? Like that's that system to have in place. So on your handout, there's a question that says, when I'm stressed, the first habit that breaks down is blank. What do you feel like that is? When you're stressed, what's the first habit that breaks down? Prepping food, yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I want to go back to the all or nothing mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anybody else want to share?
Routine. Like I can already tip the setting the precedent for the day. It's weird, but like I'll wake up and just, if the morning routine is not what it normally is,
Yep.
then I'm like, here we go.
Yeah. It's a less proactive day, or like you're more reactive to your day if you don't have a good solid routine in the morning. Okay, that makes sense.
Which
yes.
kind of sounds like an all or nothing kind of a mindset too. Yeah. Kind of what you said.
Anybody else?
Sleep.
Sleep?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else want to say? Cool. No worries. All right, so the next one is, I notice I tend to circle all that apply. I put skip meals, overindulge, sleep less, move less, feel unmotivated. So when you're stressed, circle what you feel applies to you. One thing for me that I personally have to watch out for is skipping meals. So when I'm stressed or have like a lot of things on my plate, I tend to, not on purpose, but I just tend to kind of go throughout my day and I'll notice I haven't eaten. And that goes back to being prepared. So you can always kind of trail it back to, well, what would help me? And well, I could have packed some food today. Like I could have just had food with me, right? So you can't, well, first of all, did any of those speak to you guys? Yeah.
I feel like I overindulge. Like if I'm dealing with stress and like, well, so my partner is like out of town. He's so like grounded and like routine oriented that I just go to bed at a decent time when he's like around. And so my sleep has been messed up. And I feel like I'm more likely to overindulge, like stop by and get a Ben and Jerry's or something like that. And if I'm really overindulging, I'll like eat the whole thing. But like, so I'm less likely to do that. Really, just if my sleep, it's more like it's a domino effect thing. Like it's not that it's based on him or anything, but like it's like if I'm having less sleep, then I'm gonna want to like just not eat as healthy.
Yeah.
Just because, or like just be lazier, I guess.
Sounds like he's a good support to have around. You know, that's a thing. That's one of a good support system, right? That's great. But that does make sense. Yeah, sleep, that domino effect. So I like to say you can't out-discipline a dysregulated nervous system. We have to have some tools in place. So we talked about habit change can feel impossible in this state. It's possible, right? It's not impossible. A lot of times clients will go through a season of high stress and they'll stop nutrition coaching. It's no judgment on their part. Like I want the client to feel like they need to do what to do, but I feel like that is actually time to lean in to nutrition coaching because number one, there's another support person, us as a coach for them, and we can actually help navigate them through this season, right? So I've already said, you need better systems. You don't need to be more disciplined. We just need to look at the systems. But our results really reflect our inputs and not our intentions, right? We can have the best intentions for the beginning of the week. We can say, I'm going to go to the gym 4 days a week. I'm going to prep all my food. I'm going to do all these things. But intentions only go so far. You have to have an action plan and a system to put in place. Our results reflect our inputs, not our intentions.
So like what we do
So you can have every intention in the world to do something, but if you're not putting an action plan together and then like following through with that action plan, it's just an intention, right? Like when somebody has a goal, but they don't necessarily do anything to reach that goal or have a plan or path to reach the goal, then it's just the goal. It's just out there, you know?
It's a hope.
So we really need our bodies to feel safe and supported for change to happen and for stress. Sorry, Emma looks so unhappy right now. She's looking at me like. We need our bodies to feel safe and supported because this is where consistency becomes possible. We need to start doing things that help regulate our nervous system, help reduce the stress so that we can actually start thinking more clear and more positive, and really the smallest little actions that we can do even when under high stress can make a really big impact, because those small little steps they build up and they create change, right? So what's the biggest challenge? We've kind of already answered this, but what's the biggest challenge you face when trying to stay consistent under stress? So we already talked about when I'm stressed, the first habit that breaks down, but now we're asking, what's the biggest challenge you face when trying to stay consistent?
Default habits, like just stuff that you used to do
Yes.
in the past.
Yep.
That is like a Band-Aid, works in the short term, it doesn't actually, help
Yeah.
in the long term.
Yeah.
For what you want to do.
Yeah. What do you, if you don't mind me asking, what would be an example of that?
For me, probably like emotional eating again, like overeating. So not like majorly, but definitely we'll do that.
Yeah.
And rationalize it with, but I'm not like overweight, so it's really fine. But still, even if you're not overweight, it still affects your everything. Because I have type 1 diabetes, it affects my blood sugars when I do that. Like everything just gets knocked off, but I rationalize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So defaulting, it's like when you're under stress, you tend to default to like older habits that maybe like you think like helped you feel like looking to feel better, or think that this is gonna like bring some sort of comfort, something like that. Yeah. That's common.
Yeah, it is.
Anybody else?
Mine is that I hyper-focus on food when I'm stressed.
Okay. You hyper focus on food. Yeah.
How so? Like you're being like extra intentional, or you're like, that's all I can think about? Like,
It's all I can think about. So
Gotcha.
Like if I'm working at home, working from home, and I'm super stressed, I know the food's right there, and that's
Yeah.
all I can think about is the fact that it's right there. I can go grab something at any moment. And I tend to when I'm more stressed.
yeah.
And just in our society, it's just in your face constantly. So it's really hard, even when you're like, oh, I'm in a good mood. You watch TV for 2 minutes and then something comes up, or a billboard.
Yeah. It's right there.
Yep.
All that information we're taking in. Yep. Well, we've kind of laid the land here, and now we're going to talk about some strategies. I'm going to have Dr. Jasmine take it from here.
So I think we've got about 3 strategies here that we're going to lay out. Well, maybe more. Okay. We got strategies. All right. So the first thing we want to do is just be aware. Okay. We already kind of talked about like, what does your body feel like when you're stressed out? But that's literally the first step. Awareness is key. And so you want to start by just noticing like what increases your stress. And then on the flip side of that, what reduces your stress? So awareness is not just like being aware of all the bad stuff, but it's also being aware of what are some good things that can help bring down those stress levels as well. So some questions to consider. Okay. What helped me feel better this week? Could it have been going to the gym when you didn't feel like it? Could it have been, leaning into that balanced, healthy snack, in between meals? What were those things? And then another question, on the flip side of that, when did stress seem like it started to take over? Okay. So again, these are just like top of mind, being aware of what's happening here. Because a lot of times what I've noticed is, as Dr. Travis and myself, we see patients in our clinic, like people don't even realize that they're even stressed. And so just how you guys like name the things that you feel in your bodies when you feel stress, there are people who don't even realize that those are things, you know what I mean? So the fact that you're able to like pinpoint a thing like right here, right now, you're already ahead of the game. So we're already doing good. We're already in the right direction to like identifying the things. So maybe you know the bad things of what happens in your body and your life when stress takes over. Maybe we have to lean into, okay, what are some good things that help me to like backtrack out of that stressful situation. So some tools that we can use to help us with this is stress check-ins. So maybe throughout your day, midday check-in. I know a lot of times for me, midday, like after the morning things have happened, midday I'm just kind of like, if it's been a crazy morning, I need to like check in and be like, all right, how am I feeling? So just like taking a peek and being intentional about that. It's so easy to just like gloss over the day. And by the end of the day, you've gone through all the things. You've been at work, you've had to deal with the kids, you get home, you're trying to cook dinner, and you've never like stopped to check in with yourself. So that is a very intentional thing that has to be like plugged in there, or else it gets lost. So stress check-ins, that's one. All right. The other thing is you can keep a sleep or a mood log. And so kind of like if you were doing like a meal log throughout the day, like what you ate for breakfast, you can like log your sleep. A lot of times, like, well, people have like the what are they called?
Like the Whoop?
The
Like
Whoop.
watches?
Yeah, the Whoop or the Oura rings. Yeah, to like log your sleep for you. And a lot of times if you keep track of that kind of stuff, you'll notice, okay, if I only got 4 hours of sleep the night before, then
I'm not functioning the next day.
I'm not functional, and I can't like deal with stress the way that I need to deal with it throughout the day because I haven't slept well, So that's something to just be aware of. Again, this is the awareness part. Journaling. So I keep a journal, okay? I have several journals. I just buy books because I know I'm gonna journal. But journaling is a really, really great way to just like review, reflect. And so through those reflection moments, you'll be able to identify, okay, so this is what I was feeling. Dang, like then I started to do this after this happened. So it can kind of like help you to keep track after a long day or, a long week, however it goes for you. But these are some things to help keep things top of mind for you so you can easily be aware of when that stress starts to creep in and some things that help to bring it back down at bay. Good.
Nice. Next one is we want to simplify. Okay, we don't want to complicate. We want to make things as simple as possible. So high stress times or days call for low friction actions. We have to simplify. Okay, so what can that look like? We all have different types of jobs. Our days look so different. So if you've got like meetings back to back, could you get up and take just like a 5-minute walk between some things? Could you step away from your computer and change your environment for a second? That's a huge one for me, is just changing my environment for a second. Like getting out of my office at home or even out of the house and just going somewhere else and putting myself in a different place to just change what I'm looking at. Like that is such a huge one. Easy, quick meals. I already spoke to this, but like think about what you have on hand for food and think about some easy things to put together. One thing that the Grossman household is like die hard, we have them in our freezer all the time, is frozen vegetables. Like you will not see our freezer without frozen veggies because they are easy, they're convenient. We always have a protein cooked. So that way I know that at least I'm gonna get some protein and I'm gonna get a veg at this meal if it's 9 o'clock at night and I just got home, right? So simplifying your habits. If you can't make it to the gym, can you go for a 20-minute walk. Natalia, if you don't mind me talking, me and Natalia have worked together for a while now, and she's done a really great job of really just looking at her movement throughout the month. And she'll send me her intention for the day and her goal for the day. She'll say, hey, I know I'm not gonna be able to make it to the gym today, but my goal is to do a 30-minute treadmill walk at home. Like, yes, that's like trying to stay out of that all or nothing mindset to where, hey, I can't make it to the gym, that's fine, but I'm still gonna do some movement and I'm gonna simplify it, and I'm still gonna do a 20 or 30-minute walk at home. Can you do some push-ups at home? Can you do some squat? Just something really small to still help you feel successful, okay? So simplifying those habits. Really, progress is about staying in motion, not perfection. So whatever you can do to stay in motion, it might look different than what you want or what you feel like is optimal, but it's still something, okay? There's a question on here that asks, what time of day are you most likely to feel overwhelmed? When you can identify that time of day or times of days, you can start to think about, like, what are simple things that I can do during this time that'll help me regulate this stress. Okay, so awareness, what time of day, and then how can we simplify some small habits. There's also a question on there, what's one moment from the past week where you felt more regulated or calm? So that also gets you thinking about, I'll speak to this here in a minute, but that gets you thinking about, hey, what times of the week actually do I feel really good? And how can I do more of that? Like, how can I incorporate more of that to my week?
All right. I see y'all's pens moving like fire, right? Trying to give me time to catch up. All right, so the next thing on the strategies list is improving recovery and calming the body down. So we've already talked about how cortisol is that hormone that keeps you alert and all the things. What are some things that we can do to calm ourselves down? The first thing on this list, sleep, okay?
You know it.
Go to bed, all right?
Sleep is king.
Go to bed, lay down.
Holly, I'm talking to you.
Sleep.
Love you.
Lay yourself down, okay? So it's recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, right? And so that sleep does so many amazing things for the body. We could sit up here and have a whole nother hour discussion about sleep, but it's going to be one of the top things that's going to help to just calm us down and just reset us. It's going to help to, anyways, I'm not going to go in there, but sleep is going to help to just reset you. Okay. So the other thing that we can do is keep caffeine to the mornings. Okay. I'm not sure what your caffeine relationship is like. But I know over the years, I've noticed that if I'm drinking anything caffeinated past the hour of, for me, I should really be thinking earlier. Past the hour of noon, it's probably not going to end well as far as the end of the night routine. So just being aware of how those things can affect you, and I think it's important to put caffeine on the list because we are a caffeinated country, okay? And life revolves around caffeine almost. So try to keep that to the morning, the stimulants in the morning, so that way by the time we get to the end of the day, we can actually go to sleep like we're supposed to. And then the next thing on the list, avoiding screens, okay? 1 hour before bedtime. I feel like this section is
bed scrolling.
Right. I feel like this section is punching me in the face, right? But so so if we try to just put the phones down, right? Because we know that the light from the phones, it can just this is a stimulant. And so especially if we're trying to keep our body sleep-wake cycles regulated, by the end of the night, we really want to be winding down. And the phones and the screens are going to do the exact opposite of what we're trying to do at the end of the day. So, 1 hour screens, even if it's sometimes for people, it can be watching TV as well. So not just the phones, but TV as well. So turn it off, get quiet, start to really wind down so you can actually fall asleep when it's time to go to sleep, right?
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
So we're in the world of like social media, like everything is out there, right? So one thing too to keep in mind is the scrolling, right? If we're scrolling right before bed, just be aware of like what you're intaking. It's so much content, so much like this person's doing that, well that person's doing that, and you know, I've experienced like, oh, I need to be doing that, or like that comparison, which brings about anxiety, and it's like all of those things right before bed is probably not a good thing, right? So it just goes into, hey, what are we intaking right before we go to sleep? That's going to affect how we're sleeping, our quality of sleep. And so Case and I have started, we were much better about it last year and we just got back to it, but we'll charge our phones in the bathroom and like not keep it on our nightstand. And it's just the thought of like, this device is not actually right beside me. It's in another room. That actually helps like bring my anxiety down. It's like, okay, and I found that I sleep a lot better putting the phone away. So
that's a pro tip.
there's a tactic.
That's a pro tip. That's great. So yes, let's see here. Okay, yeah, the other thing here is prioritizing daily walks. So like Liz was saying, you know, sometimes it's really good to just change your environment. You know, if you've been in the office all day and you just been under fluorescent lights all day, go get out in the sun, get some vitamin D, and just, you know, take in fresh air. Like you'd be amazed at like how small things like that can do wonders with like bringing down our stress levels. The last thing here on the list is breath work. So this is something I teach dang near every patient I work with is how to breathe. Because a lot of times we're breathing, well, one thing is breathing, you know, helps to just like calm us down. And so one tactic that is very useful is a tactic called box breathing. And so it, like if you are, I don't know, it's something super simple that you can just like do right then in the moment that can like just help to like calm you down. So if we know stress is one of those things that puts us in a fight or flight stance or position, then breathing can put us in what we call a rest and digest state. And so box breathing is a 4-second inhale, 4-second hold, 4-second exhale, 4-second hold, and then again, okay? All right, so let's do it right here. Why not? Okay, let's do it right here, right now. Let's do it. So let's inhale. So number one, let's sit up nice and tall, okay? And that's slouching stuff. Sit up nice and tall, okay? And I want you to try to inhale like through your belly as much as you can. Chest breathing can actually increase our stress. So try to do it through your belly as much as you can. All right, we ready? So we're gonna do inhale 4 seconds. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. Okay, now y'all,
I feel more calm.
Now you're ready
calm.
for sleep, right? See how powerful that is?
I do that before bed sometimes.
Yeah.
Like if you feel just stressed, do that box breathing.
Yeah. So speaking of bedtime and all of that, you know, now we're getting in your personal businesses, okay? So the next question asks, how many hours of sleep are you currently getting or averaging per night? And you don't have to tell us, you know, this is for you and your records. You 7.5? Okay, slight flex, okay.
It is interesting, but the more I train, live, eat, breathe the stuff, the more this 8.5 is really what I need.
Okay,
And that's why I feel good.
That's good to know.
I rarely give myself 8.5 hours,
yeah.
which I don't know why I do.
Anybody else?
Like 6 to 7, but it's not as much like the amount versus the two. It's just like the where I break it up, so it's like every 2-3 hours.
Like your quality.
They whine or they need
Yeah. You're in that season.
something change, or, you know. So it's like that is what is really tripping me up is the splitting.
Yeah. Yeah. The sleep,
'Cause you're
wake,
not really getting
sleep,
into,
wake.
like, REM
Yeah.
fully
deep sleep.
before you're back up.
Right. Yeah. So that's like more quality of the night with the sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. So another question here: how could you improve your nighttime routine to help you really get to that restful place before sleeping?
Yeah.
What's something? Throw it in the trash.
Throw
can.
it away.
Take the trash out.
Don't
I'm
check
just-
Slack or email. Bro. Yeah, so we just want you to start thinking, that's one thing we work with nutrition clients on is like, hey, how can we put in a better nighttime routine? If we're talking about simplifying habits, one way that I like to suggest is if you're going to bed at 11 and that's too late, that's not giving you the amount of sleep, can we go to bed at 10:30? Like push it back 30 minutes or 10:45, like slowly, incrementally pushing it back until you get to where you want. Maybe you're trying to get, hey, I want to be in bed by 9:45, but you're going to bed at 11. That seems pretty like a huge gap, so let's just slowly increment it back.
What if you feel like better as the day goes on? Like you wake up and it's like, oh, and then you just feel better and better and better until you feel great at the end of the night, and then it's hard to sleep.
Yes, that's how
I mean, I know I think my phone usage could improve for sure.
Yeah.
But I've always been that way even since I was a kid. Like I'd have insomnia as a kid,
Okay.
and I didn't have a phone back then.
Okay.
So I don't know, but I've always like, struggled with sleep. But that's why it's like if Pell is around, like I'll go to bed earlier. It might take me a long time to still get to sleep, but at least it starts earlier.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think one of the things I could do probably is just start my routine earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, start a little bit earlier.
That sounds
You
like
get
a-
you
oh, go
get
ahead.
done with work later though, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Which
And I
makes it
eat
hard.
late, too,
Yeah.
And I feel like I need time to digest. and to-
Which makes it tough, yeah,
It
for your
makes it
body
tough.
to like start to recognize, oh, it's time to wind down, because you're working late, then you're eating late, and then your body is just like still going.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a struggle. Yeah, my hours are just later than most people.
yeah.
I mean, that's like your routine though. Like, and so like sounds like your sleep wake cycle is like just kind of favored what your routine is, your work life routine that is. So that could be that. Now, if it's something that is something you will want to change, then then maybe we work on doing stuff a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I mean, it's
But
hard 'cause I feel like I just have this ideal, like to be like super productive, I like need to get up earlier. But the thing is, like, I know that's not necessarily true, but yeah, I don't know. I think I have this ideal of like, at least being up by this time would be good. But for me, like, I mean, I wrote down 7 hours of sleep, but like, I'm just somebody who like needs a lot of sleep. Like, I need at least 8 to be like feeling really good. And 9 is just like
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
But I feel like I don't know. It's like,
yeah.
that's where I'm at.
Hey, it's okay. It's just like that awareness, right, is key, and then you can start to tweak from there.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, a few more. Support system. So that's another pillar here that we talk about. When we're isolated, that can increase overwhelm and stress. As people, as humans, we're made for connection, right? So if we're alone constantly, it's like that is going to put us in a state of, maybe we don't like feel it, but it might put us in a state of like sadness or a depressed state, and we're then it's like, hey, I'm not doing the things that I want to do. So connection is that stress reliever, right? Lean into those around you, and that's why like we love seeing you guys come in here even on really hard days, and even when it's really hard to walk in that door, we're like here to support you, because we know everybody is probably going through something, right? And us as coaches know that, and like that's why we want to see you come in. That's why we're messaging you and texting you and saying that, hey, where you been? We miss you, right? We know that connection is really important, and that's what this whole gym and community is really about. And so lean on those around you. We talk to our nutrition clients all the time that we're the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. So take inventory of those 5 people that you spend the most time with and say, hey, are they supporting me and my lifestyle and my goals, or are they hindering something in my life? And how can I lean into those people that are supporting me better? Like, say, hey, like I'm struggling right now. Can you hold me accountable? I love getting messages from people like that. Like, hey, I've had a really tough week. I need some accountability to make it to the gym. Like, can you help me? I'm like, yes, let's go. I'll message you. We're gonna get you here, right? So lean into us as a gym and those people around you. Accountability, find an accountability buddy. Natalia had an accountability buddy at work for movement, and that's so cool, right? So support is huge. Also, finding something joyful or a hobby. I think this one gets missed a lot. So there is Dr. Christina Migliara, who she has a gym down in Florida, but we've worked closely with her with Healthy Steps Nutrition, and she partnered with HSN and did like a mental fit and mindset course. And she talks about being a mentally fit person and some things to have in place to be mentally fit. Nutrition is one of them, like being outside in nature is one of them, sleep. But one is finding a joy or hobby. And I think that's really huge because a lot of us go throughout our day and we're just work mode, life mode, getting things done. And we look back at the month and we're like, what did I do that made me happy? Like, what did I do that brought me joy this week or, today? And oftentimes I have to be really intentional about that, right? So if we're not doing things or filling our own cup with things that we really enjoy or doing some sort of hobby, then I feel like that is what really helps with stress. So for example, I've found that I love being in our flower beds at home. Like, I've actually enjoyed picking the weeds and making it look really good and planting flowers. I didn't do that last year. And for the past month or two, every day I'll go out and look at my flowers. I'll pick some weeds, and I'm like, this is really calming and really enjoyable, and it brings me joy because I'm taking care of something, and that reduces my stress. And I feel like I can handle things better because I'm tending to something and helping that grow, if that makes sense. So does anybody feel like they have a joy or hobby that they do or that helps them reduce stress?
Writing.
Yeah.
I'm also working on a writing project too.
Awesome.
Nice.
I love it.
And CrossFit.
CrossFit's our hobby. CrossFit brings me joy. Yeah, I know it does.
5 minutes I'm sad.
Yeah.
Very often, but coloring is very.
Yeah,
Coloring.
I love coloring. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and these things foster that mindfulness. Every time I color, I'm really mindful. Every time I'm pulling weeds, I'm just thinking about things, more mindful, and I'm just talking to myself and positive and whatever's going on through the day. I'm just able to process it better rather than just going through my day and not even thinking about anything, right? So all that to say that joy and those hobbies can promote those positive emotions that we want. Yeah, and there's a question on there that says, what brings you joy and how can you start to incorporate that in your routines? So you can think about that, reflect on that. Ryan, coloring. I want to see some of your coloring things. I used to draw when I was little. And in case, I won this, I remember it. It was in 5th grade, and there was an advertisement for Domino's Pizza. And our 5th grade class, we all sent in pictures, but we had to do the logo. We had to make this logo. What was it? I can't remember the logo. We had to say something, but I won. My picture was so good that I won. And Casey's you should get back to drawing. And I'm I think I've lost that skill because I used to draw so much, but maybe I'll try it.
That's hilarious.
Anyways, I digress. So, this week has been Healthcare Professional Week, and really the reason why we are talking about Healthcare Professional Week and why we're saying like, hey, like we can bridge the gap between healthcare and lifestyle change. And we're not here to like change healthcare. We're not here to take anything away from medical professionals. We're actually here to complement. And so one way that I've been telling people, it's like, hey, tell your doctors, if you have a PCP, you can tell them what we do here at Whole Strength, this holistic approach to lifestyle change, and even tell them, if you haven't already, like, hey, this is what I've seen change in me. And if you have other patients that you see that you think can benefit from this type of lifestyle change, like nutrition coaching and movement, like refer them here, right? So creating that referral process, we actually have a sheet here that is like a progress report. This is a newer thing, but this is like a progress report that our nutrition coaching clients can take to their doctors, and we can put their biometric changes. I've had clients take their in-bodies to their doctors, but we can put their biometric changes, we can put the plan that we've been working on, any notes that I have, initial assessment notes, like their goals, so that we can say, hey, this is what Jennifer has, or this is what I've been working on, and if you have, you know, any patients that you feel like can benefit from this, like this has changed my life, right? Or whatever you want to say to the doctor. But this is just a good way to bridge that gap, because medical professionals don't have a lot of time. They've got like 15 minutes to talk to you. That's not a lot of time to assess, right? And we have so much time, so much more time to assess and talk, where it's like, hey, they can provide the medical intervention. We can't treat, diagnose, but if you're having like GI issues, we can track digestion habits. We can look at what foods you're eating and see any trends. If you're having anxiety, right, and maybe we're on some medication and that's totally fine, but we can talk about, and here we can talk about lifestyle management and any stress management tools or techniques, right? So it all goes together. We're here to complement it. And so that's just one way that we see that we can help you guys optimize health and other people in our community optimize their health. And really, you know, stress is that one pillar. And as you can see, it affects everything else. So we have to really talk about it and take note of it and see how we can reduce it. Cool? Any questions for us while we are up here? There's some reflection questions on the back of your sheet. So the first question is, we have a challenge for you. So this week's challenge is think about one small way you can reduce your stress this week and make an action plan on how you're going to implement that. Okay? Remember, simplify it. And then a question is one thing I learned about myself today. So those are for you to reflect and think about as you go through your Memorial Day weekend. I hope this was helpful. Did y'all find this helpful to think about and sit with? Good. Anything you want to add?
Well, I'll just say, even though we're presenting, like this is very helpful for us as well.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
like even
Oh my
hearing your comments and things that you've shared, like it's also helpful for everybody in this room. So thank y'all for being here and you know, sharing.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. That's all.
Cool.